How's it going? Welcome to the Guitar Effect. My name's Rob. So in this episode, we're going to be discussing the TC Electronic Overdrive programmable analog distortion and overdrive pedal. But before we do, as always, I'd ask you to please like and subscribe and hit the notifications bell so you can be kept up to date every time I put out a new video. So I guess the first thing that we should do is take a listen to this amazing box in context. So here it is in a track. Okay, so the Overdrive. So this is actually my second time owning this pedal. I had it along with the TC Electronic Nova system as my main sort of out gigging in Dublin City rig about 10 years ago. And I stupidly sold it and got rid of it, and I've been keeping my eye out for one ever since. And also Mason Marangella did a shootout of 3 MIDI compatible overdrive and distortion pedals recently, and this actually won, and it was by far the cheapest. They're not made anymore, as I seem to have a penchant for making videos for gear that's hard to get, but it seems to be a bit of a thing that people think that the best gear has to be the newest gear, and I'm really not a believer of that at all. The best gear is the best designed and sounding gear, no matter what era it comes from. And this is testament to that, because this pedal's well over 10 years old, I'd say, and it is an amazing piece of kit. This pedal can do so much. It can replace so many pedals on your board, and has a potential, just unbridled potential, really. So what it is basically, right, it's a Rat and a Tubescreamer. Tubescreamer on this side, Rat on this side. The Rat has, when I say Rat, I mean sort of Marshall in a box to Rat sounding distortion pedal on this side. This side is very much a Tubescreamer. It does the Tubescreamer thing, with the added benefit of a blend knob, so you can control how much of your original signals in. But other than that, it has overdrive, level and tone. And on this side, you've got distortion and level and bass and treble, which makes this far more versatile than a Rat. This can do everything from, it doesn't do low gain overdrive, it does low gain distortion up to like screaming distortion out of this pedal. And then there is also a switch mode which allows you to control how the switches work, so you can just turn either pedal on and off and stack them. You can switch it so that when you switch one off, the other one switch on. And then you can also switch it that both pedals activate 2 presets within one bank. You'll see more what that means in the audio section of the video. So this is actually going to be the first of 2 videos about this pedal. In this first video, I'm going to demonstrate the pedal as a standalone unit and how you can use it for all your distortion and overdrive needs. And it's worth mentioning yet again this isn't 100% analog signal path pedal, right? So it's a Rat circuit and a Tubescreamer circuit, and there's no digital programming or processing, I should say, involved in the sound production at all. It's controlled digitally to allow you to have, I think it's 9 presets that you can select from this pedal, 10 maybe, 8 even. I'm not, it's either, I think it might be 8 because it's 4 groups of 2. So you can program 4 either distortion sounds, overdrive sounds, or combinations of overdrive and distortion sounds. And then the last thing you can do is you can use this switch to either run it overdrive into distortion, distortion into overdrive, or both in parallel. So it's an incredibly powerful pedal. So I guess the next thing we need to do is take a listen to it. So here you go. Okay, so as always, I'm playing through the Koch Studio Tone 20 head, emulated out of the back of the amp, going direct into my Scarlett 6i6 interface from Focusrite. I'm playing my what is it? Fender Classic Series 60s reissue Telecaster. I only really like Tubescreamers on single coil pickups. I don't really like them on humbuckers. So that's why I'm using this guitar. And here is the clean sound. I have the clean sound on the clean volume on the amp, I should say, pushed pretty high, so it's breaking up slightly. And the neck pickup. And the middle setting. Okay, so starting with the Tubescreamer, as you can see here, right, the tone is pushed slightly and the level is pushed slightly, and the mix and overdrive are pretty much straight up. So here is, first of all, a little lick without the Tubescreamer, and then with the Tubescreamer. So it sounds like a Tubescreamer. It scoops off bottom end, it boosts the mids, and it has sort of a creamy side overdrive. So the middle setting on the neck. Middle setting. And bridge setting. Going to tune up for a sec. Okay, and here is the bridge pickup. Tubescreamer. So you can see Tubescreamer works pretty well on the bridge pickup of a Tele going into a Marshall style amp. It adds a nice bit of mid-range and you get a pretty cool overdrive sound. Neck pickup. Personally, for strummy kind of chordal work, I'd be more of a blues breaker kind of thing, or like a low gain distortion. They work nicely for kind of blues tinge. Almost Stevie Ray Vaughan kind of sounding stuff, but not really for me hugely as an overdrive pedal, but great as a boost, especially for solos, which I'll get onto in a bit, right? So what can you do with the Tubescreamer? Okay, so back to the bridge pickup for that rhythm sound. You can increase the gain, full gain. Pretty good overdrive sound. You can back the gain right off and have more of a clean boost kind of thing. There's with it on and with it off. If I turn on the overdrive, maybe give it a little bit more overdrive, it just turns into like a mid boost, which is really useful. So bring the gain back up, bring the volume back. The tone fully off, still usable, and the tone fully on. Trebly. So then the last thing is the mix control, which is really interesting. So pedal off, turn it on, pretty much not doing anything, and then you can wind in how much clean signal you have. This is half. And fully. So you can see as you go full on, you get that full sound of only the pushed mids and the scoop bass. Roll it off fully. Mids all go away, bass comes back. So very usable tube screamer sound. You know, to me that's comparable to any tube screamer pedal that does the tube screamer thing perfectly well. So that's the tube screamer side. Over to the distortion side. So as I mentioned before, in my opinion, this is kind of bass off a Rat, but with independent bass and treble control. So again, starting on the bridge pickup this time. Here is the bridge pickup clean. And the Rat, or Rat style sound. So I might find that's a bit too trebly, so I can wind the treble. But if I go on to the next pickup, I might want more treble. It's a much nicer distortion sound to me. Now here's where this pedal I think really comes into its own. It cleans up unbelievably well. Back pickup. That's with the volume halfway, volume rolled off more. Volume up full. It's huge range distortion just with the volume. I mean, just with that one preset there, as in one combination of knob placements, you can go from pretty much slightly broken up clean to full on like raging distortion. So the other thing you can do is you can leave the volume on full, unwind the gain back to very low. But like a Rat, it never really goes clean, right? Then you can go to full on distortion. And again, like a Rat, it's almost verging into fuzz territory there. And then, so I'll just show you what the bass treble can do. So here is mid-gain sound. Wind the bass off completely. So as you can see, it's a really powerful EQ and wind the bass up full. Even with that bass full on, it's still a usable sound. So treble off completely. Almost like a Queens of the Stone Age kind of. Even there's still loads of the top end creeping through there, and then I go across to full treble. Very snarling, high gain, aggressive distortion. So then you come into using combinations of them together. Right? I'm just going to back the gain then slightly on the distortion and put everything else at noon, maybe. Yeah, I think that should do it there. So a little bit more top end. So the other things you could do then, you can switch to, I'm going to go just, I'll talk about routing. No, actually I'll talk about routing now. Okay, so if I turn on the overdrive now with the distortion, just distortion, boosted with the tube screamer. So you can see it does what it would do into the dirty channel amp. It adds gain, it adds mids, and it cuts bottom end. So I'll just show that again. Just distortion. Overdrive. And I will also add that how much distortion and overdrive, or how much the overdrive colours the distortion sound, you can control with this mix knob here, which is really useful. So here's the two of them together for leads. Really amazing. Then what also you can do, you can see that the overdrive, and maybe I'm stating the obvious here, but the overdrive is a green light and the distortion has a red light. And on the routing switch, you can see it's gone green, red, okay? I can swap that to be red, green, and now the distortion's first. Completely different sound. Now it's distortion into overdrive, or overdrive into distortion, and now distortion into overdrive. Quite a different sound. And then the other thing you do is you can run them in parallel. Okay, interesting to have all those options. I like it overdrive into distortion. Then the other thing you can do is you can go toggle on the switch mode here. And what that does is it switches that when you turn the overdrive on, it turns the distortion off, and the distortion off and overdrive on, vice versa. So you can have nothing, overdrive, distortion, or again, nothing. Okay? And then what the bank switch does is whatever bank you select, and you can select any one of these here. So let's say it's A for me. Okay? It gives you presets 1 and 2 in that bank. So, why this is confusing, right? Because A1 is on this side, but on preset A1 I only have the distortion on. So then when I hit the beat A2, okay, so you can see low gain distortion, high gain distortion. And you can set up any combination of them that you like. So you could have 2 distortions in A1, an overdrive and a distortion. Sorry, you could have 2 distortions in A1 and A2, an overdrive and distortion on B1 and B2, and any combination thereof that you like. And you can have both switches on, both switches off, or only one switch on per preset. Incredibly versatile pedal. So yeah, as you can see, it's just a really, really, really versatile, capable, standalone Rat and Tubescreamer that are programmable to be whatever sounds you want them to be. And even if you just use them as a standalone overdrive and distortion, that the ability of the distortion to clean up, it really is amazing. So yeah, just a really, really brilliant distortion pedal. In the next video next week, I'll get into the MIDI switching capabilities of it, and you'll really see how this is an unbelievable piece of kit. So there you go, part 1, using this pedal in isolation. And what I mean by that is, in the next episode, which is going to be next week, I'm going to plug this into my HX Effects rig instead of the Bogner XSC that I have on the board at the moment. I'm going to set up a load of presets that use onboard distortion from the HX effect, say 3 or 4 presets, and then I'm going to put this in a loop and use MIDI to get all the same sounds. And then I'm going to show you why this is a better choice than using onboard distortion sounds. And it's not from a sound point of view, it's from a control point of view. So you'll also see how the MIDI capabilities of this can come into play in that video, and that's principally what that video is going to be about. So this part has been about this pedal in isolation. Next week it's going to be about the pedal combined with some sort of MIDI switching system where you can use the presets on it. So that's it for this week. If you're looking for an overdrive and distortion in one unit, this is really, really hard to beat. It can really do a lot. If you're not into Tubescreamer style drives, which I wouldn't be massively into, I'd much prefer that this was like a clone or a blues breaker. But when they designed it, the Tubescreamer was the most popular pedal on the market, which is why I assume this is a Tubescreamer style circuit. Then I think you need to be able to live with the overdrive being a Tubescreamer is effectively what I'm saying. But if you can, it's an incredibly powerful unit. And even for the programmable distortion side alone, it's really, really great. And these generally go for about 100 to 120 euro used. I'll also mention that it takes 400 milliamps of 12 volt DC power, which is not the most common power consumption, so you will need a power supply that can handle that. But if you're looking for an overdrive and distortion pedal in one that is incredibly flexible, even without getting into the MIDI programmability of it, this is really hard to beat. Okay, so thanks for watching as always. If you've gotten this far, especially thank you. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you next week for the second video about this. Cheers. Bye bye.